Nurul binti Ibrahim would like to present case study 1. For question 1, GDP measure the monetary value of goods and services produced within a country's border during a specific period of time, usually a quarter or a year. Changes in output over time as measured by GDP are the most comprehensive measure of economic health. The GDP measure is important for a country because economic growth increases state capacity and the supply of public goods. As economic growth, countries can take those revenues and gain the capacity and resource needed to provide the public goods and services their citizens need, such as healthcare, education, social protection, and basic public service. Factors that can increase GDP state in the article are physical capital, investment in infrastructure, machinery, and equipment that can increase production capacity, human capital, workforce development through education, training, and upskilling, natural resource, the use and management of natural resource for productive activities, technology and innovation, advance in technology and innovation that can increase efficiency and productivity in the production of goods and services. These factors contribute to economic growth by expanding the capacity to produce and increasing level of productivity in an economy. Second, economic growth in a country is usually measured by comparing the actual value of GDP in a particular year with the actual value of GDP in the previous year. Real GDP adjusts for inflation, giving a more accurate picture of changes in a quantity of goods and service produced over time. Why is real GDP preferred rather than nominal GDP as a measure of economic well-being? Because it accounts for the effects of inflation. Nominal GDP measures the value of goods and services produced using current market price, which can be affected by the changes in the price level. In contrast, real GDP adjusts for inflation using constant price, allowing for a more accurate assessment of changes in the amount of goods and services produced. By removing the effect of inflation, real GDP provides a clearer picture of the actual growth or contraction in economic output, allowing policymakers and analysts to make more informed decisions about economic policy and performance. For last question, the first reason is that it does not take unpaid service into account. GDP calculation usually focus on the value of goods and services purchased by consumers, while unpaid services such as housework are not included. This omission may lead to an under-representation of economic activity and the contribution of certain sectors. The second reason is economic externalities. GDP fails to consider externalities. For example, industry such as cigarette and oil industry may also produce negative effects on the environment that are not taken into account in the GDP calculation. The third reason is future cost and sustainability. GDP calculation do not take into account the costs incurred by future generations as a result of current consumption and activities that harm the environment. Issues such as climate change and depletion of natural resources are not adequately reflected by the GDP figures, even though they have significant implications for well-being and sustainability. That's all from me. Thank you.
Next, I will continue with case study 3. We break down the issue of rising prices of goods in a prudent way. What is the inflation rate? The inflation rate refers to the general increase in the level of prices of goods and services in an economy over a given time period. It measures how quickly a currency purchasing power depreciates over time. The consumer price index (CPI) and the producer price index (PPI) are the two price indexes most frequently used to measure inflation. Changes in the dynamics of supply and demand, fluctuation in commodity prices, monetary policy decisions, and general economic conditions all have an influence on inflation. Positive inflation means that prices are growing and that fewer products and services can be purchased with each unit of currency. A decrease in the general level of prices is indicated by a negative inflation rate or deflation. Next, what causes inflation in the domestic market? Inflation in the domestic market occurs due to the cost push inflation. Cost push inflation is driven by increases in production costs such as wages, raw material prices, or energy costs. Businesses which face an increase in cost may choose to pass those costs forward to customers by increasing pricing. As a result, money has less purchasing power and prices rise. Cost push inflation may be caused by variables including the state of the labor market, changes in commodity prices, or government regulation. For example, producers are still faced with the problem of obtaining supplies of raw material to meet increasing demand. This is due to the cost push factor occurring and not only due to high demand, but even due to the increase in fuel costs resulting in an increase in production costs. Next, what types of inflation happen in China and the United States (US)? There are two types of inflation happen in China and the United States (US), which are import push inflation and tax push inflation. When the price of import raw materials or finished goods increase, import push inflation may occur. As a result, both the price of output and the cost of manufacturing import goods will rise. For instance, producers continue to struggle with finding enough raw material to meet the rising demand. Tax push inflation, on the other hand, refers to tax increases that push up average costs while the producer responds by lowering supply and raising prices. For instance, the rising prices are also related to higher fuel prices, which have increased production expenses along with to high demand. Next, briefly explain economic policy could be used and how the implementation of the policy will change a price level. The economic policy could be used is direct contractionary fiscal policy. Contractionary fiscal policy can be employed to lower aggregate demand and keep prices in control when an economy is under strong inflationary pressure. This strategy entails raising taxes and reducing government spending. Government expenditure reductions result in decreased demand for products and services, which lowers overall demand. Tax increase also decrease households and enterprises' disposable income, which result in less spending and less investment. The decline in overall demand may lessen inflationary pressures and lead to a decrease in the price level. Lastly, discuss the reasons why inflation is considered to be a problem for an economy. The reasons why inflation is considered to be a problem for an economy is income distribution. This is referring to the larger gap in real income distribution between socio-economic classes. In other words, someone will earn and someone will lose. For instance, a businessman, investors, borrowers, and shareholders will all earn or benefit, while pension investors who receive its interest and creditors will all lose out. Secondly, the reasons why inflation is considered to be a problem for an economy is a rise in production and investment. The income of the businessmen will rise when inflation takes place. They can reinvest their unadvertised profits in the production of more goods and services. Increasing profits brought on by rising pricing encourage businesses to invest and expand. Furthermore, the reasons why inflation is considered to be a problem for an economy is the amount of money saved will be reduced. As inflation increases, money will have a reduced purchasing power. As a result, people will be less likely to save money. Instead of saving, they would like to invest in other things. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is FENG. My number is 8218352. I will explain about case study 5, Malaysia unemployment rate down to 3.6% in November 2022. First of all, I will explain what is full employment. Full employment is a situation in an economy in which all or nearly all available labor resources are put to productive use. It signifies a low level of unemployment with just a small proportion of the labor force activities look for a job but being unable to find. The provide articles unemployment rate is 3.6 indicates that the economy is nearing full employment since it displays a comparable low level of unemployment. Next, I will talk about labor force. The labor force is the total number of persons who are either working or activities seeking employment. Is made up of both working and unemployment people. Next is unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is a measure of the proportion of the labor force that is unemployment and activities seeking work. This is calculated by dividing the entire workforce by the number of unemployment person and multiply the result by 100%. Question 2, the number of employment person is 16.11 million person. The number of unemployment person is 600.9 thousand person. Persons not in the labor force is 7.24 million persons. The total labor force is equal number of employed plus number of unemployment. So the total labor force is 16.71 million person. Case of question 3, individuals who have classified as being outside the labor force owing the housework, family duties, or schooling to enter the labor market, imply a possible increase in the labor force participation rate. In terms of the type of employment, this situation is likely to lead to an increase in frictionally unemployment. The increase in labor force participation may be considered as a good trend, showing that people who were previously unemployment are now active looking for work.
My name is Wojai. My matching number is 821-83490. I will continue for case study 7. It's related to Malaysia's unemployment rate down to 3.7% in July 2022. Question 1. Discuss what unemployment means, who is not counted in labor, and who is in the labor force. Support the explanation with an appropriate example from the case study provided. Unemployment refers to the state of being without a job, where individuals are actively seeking employment but are unable to find suitable work. In this case, the number of unemployment persons decreased from 630,600 in June to 620,700 in July 2022. The labor force includes all individuals who are employed or actively seeking employment. In this case, the number of employed persons in July 2022 was reported as 15.98 million. However, there are certain groups of individuals who are not counted in the labor force. These include discouraged workers and the individuals who are not actively seeking employment. Questions 2. Based on the above case study, discuss the factors that help improve Malaysia's unemployment rate. The factors that help improve Malaysia's unemployment rate include the continuous operation of business activities. The case study mentions that the unemployment rate decreased as a result of a continuous operation of all business activities. Besides, the case also mentions that the increase in demand for employment contribute to the improvement in the labor market situation. When there is an increased demand for goods and services, business require more workers to meet the growing needs, thereby reducing the unemployment.
My name is Liliping and my matching number is 8182544. Now I will present the case study 9 is about the E&E products that outsource export by 7.6%. Question 1 is divide the international trade. Based on the article, state trade products that contribute to export expansion. International trade refers to the trade of exchange of goods or services across international borders and are usually equipped with additional risk factors such as exchange rates, government policy, economy, other country laws, and financial markets that affect trade between the two. There are three products that contribute to export expansion. First is electrical and electronic products. It is valued at 89 billion in Malaysia and accounted for 38% of total export. Second is products of petroleum. It is not specific value is stated in this article, but this product contributes to export growth. First is metal manufacturing and chemical products. It is not specific value in this article, but these two products contribute to export growth. Question 2 is as mentioned in the last paragraph. Line 2, trade surplus by 6.04 billion ringgit Malaysia. What is meant by trade surplus? The trade surplus is the difference between the value of the country import and export over the time. In this article, Malaysia export value of 6.04 billion ringgit Malaysia except Malaysia import value of 6.04 billion ringgit Malaysia. This shows that Malaysia export more product than it imported during the state period. Question 3 is about which different to the last paragraph set the country that contribute to Malaysian higher trade. In the last paragraph, the countries that contribute to Malaysian higher trade are China, Asia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Korea, the European Union, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. That's all from me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti SOLEHAH. My metric number is 81A3116. Now I will present the case study 12, which is probe into bicycle dumping from abroad. First question, what is the meaning of the dumping? Dumping is when foreign firms dump products at artificially low price in the European market. This may be because the country subsidizes the product unfairly or the company has overproduced and is now selling the product at a low price in another market. Question 2. Suggest two reasons why the foreign firms dump their bicycle in Malaysia. The answer is, first, excess inventory. Foreign firms dump their bicycle in Malaysia because they have more inventory and cannot sell them in their home market. This may be due to factors such as overproduction, change in consumer preference, or the introduction of new bicycle models. So, competitive advantage. By selling their bicycle at artificially low price, they can undercut local competitors and gain market share. Question 3. Is dumping viewed as an unfair act? My answer is, in my view, dumping is generally seen as an unfair trade practice according to international trade norms and rules. This is because it involves selling goods in the foreign market at a lower price than the cost of production. Indirectly, this situation can harm the domestic industry and disrupt competition. For question 4, explain the effect of such dumping on local bicycle producers. The answer is, 1. Price drop. Dumping bicycle from abroad at low price can cause a significant drop in price in the local market. When foreign firms sell their bicycle at price below their production cost, they can undercut local manufacturer price. As a result, consumers may be more inclined to buy cheaper import bicycles, leading to downward pressure on the overall price level in the market. This could affect the pricing power of local bicycle manufacturers as they may be forced to lower their price to remain competitive. 2. Loss of sales to local manufacturers. Dumping can result in lost sales for local bicycle manufacturers. When foreign firms flood the market with low price spread bicycles, it can create a situation where local manufacturers struggle to sell their own products. Consumers may be attracted to cheaper imported bicycles, which may lead to a decrease in demand for locally produced bicycles. The loss of these sales can have several consequences for local manufacturers, including reduced revenue, lower production levels, and possible failure or closure. Question 5. Explain any three measures that the Malaysian government can take to eliminate dumping as mentioned in the last paragraph. First, the answer is imposition of anti-dumping duty. The second is conduct an investigation. And the third is strengthen trade regulations and reforms. First, answer is imposition of anti-dumping duty. That is, the Malaysian government can impose an anti-dumping duty on imported bicycles that are being dumped in the market. By imposing such a duty, the government can raise the price of scrap bicycles to a level that ensures fair competition with domestic manufacturers. This helps protect the local industry by reducing the price disadvantage faced by local producers and discourage dumping practice. Second answer is to conduct an investigation. The Malaysian government should implement an investigation into the alleged dumping of bicycles to gather evidence and assess the impact of domestic manufacturers. To conduct an investigation, the Malaysian government should initiate an investigation into the alleged dumping of bicycles to gather evidence and assess the impact on domestic manufacturers. Through this investigation, the government can determine whether dumping is occurring, calculate the extent of injury caused to the local industry, and identify specific foreign firms involved. By conducting a true investigation, the government can collect the necessary data to support anti-dumping measures and take appropriate action to eliminate material injury caused by dumping. The answer of 3 is strengthen trade regulation and enforcement. The Malaysian government should strengthen trade regulation and enforcement mechanism to effectively prevent and deal with bicycle dumping. This includes increasing market monitoring and surveillance to detect incidents of dumping, setting stricter penalties for dumping violation, and increasing coordination between relevant government agencies responsible for trade and industry. By ensuring robust trade regulation and effective enforcement, the government can create a deterrent against dumping practice and protect the interests of local bicycle manufacturers. The term exchange rate refers to the rate at which one currency can be exchanged to another currency. It represents the value of one currency in terms of another's. Exchange rate plays a crucial role in international trade and financial transactions as they determine the relative value of currencies when converting one currency into another for purposes such as buying goods and services, investing, or traveling abroad. The second question is differentiate between depreciation and appreciation of the ringgit. Depreciation and appreciation are terms used to describe changes in the value of a currency relative to other currencies. Depreciation of the ringgit Malaysia refers to a decrease in the value of a currency compared to other currencies. For example, if the exchange rate between ringgit Malaysia USD changed from 1 USD equal to 4 ringgit Malaysia Malaysia to 1 USD equal to 4.5 ringgit Malaysia, it indicates that the ringgit Malaysia has depreciated against the US dollar. It now takes more ringgit Malaysia to buy 1 USD, indicating a decrease in the value of ringgit Malaysia. Appreciation of the ringgit Malaysia, on the other hand, refers to an increase in the value of a currency relative to other currencies. For example, if the exchange rate between ringgit Malaysia and euro changes from 1 euro equal to 4.5 ringgit Malaysia to 1 euro equal to 4 ringgit Malaysia, it indicates the ringgit Malaysia has appreciated against the euro. It now takes 2 ringgit Malaysia to buy 1 euro, indicating an increase in the value of ringgit Malaysia. The third question is how Singapore strengthened its currencies of the Singapore dollar in line with the United States dollar. Singapore strengthened its currency, the Singapore dollar, in line with the United States dollar by using foreign exchange rate as a monetary policy tool. As an open and small economy, the Monetary Authority of Singapore (MAS) focuses on managing the exchange rate rather than interest rate to control inflation and economic stability. The factor of ringgit remains better than other ASEAN currencies. Based on the ATIQAH, the factor that contribute to the ringgit remaining better than other currency are domestic macroeconomic strength. The ringgit benefits from several factors, indicating the strength of Malaysia's economy. This include a decrease in the unemployment rate, lower inflation rate compared to other countries, improving gross domestic product development, and high global commodity prices. Besides that, export performance is also a factor ringgit better than other ASEAN currencies. The article highlighted that the weakness of the ringgit is advantageous for Malaysian export, particularly in sectors such as palm oil, petroleum, and gas. The lower value of the currency made Malaysian goods more affordable for international buyers, stimulating export activities and boosting export revenues. The effect of a failing ringgit on the Malaysian economy. A failing ringgit, which refer to a decline in the value of the Malaysian currency relative to other currencies, can have both positive and negative effect on the Malaysian economy. The effect is export competitiveness. A weaker ringgit makes Malaysian export more affordable and competitive in international market, which can stimulate export-oriented industries such as manufacturing, palm oil, electronic, and commodities, leading to increased export volume and revenues. Second, tourism and service. A depreciation of the ringgit can make Malaysia a more attractive destination for foreign tourism. A lower cost of travel, accommodation, and services can potentially increase tourism revenues and stimulate the hospitality industry. Additionally, sectors such as education and medical tourism may benefit from a weaker currency, attracting additional students and medical tourists seeking cost advantages. Lastly, inflationary pressure. A falling ringgit can lead to higher import costs of goods and raw materials that Malaysia relies on. This can contribute to inflationary pressure as the increased costs are passed on to consumers.